So let me make three things clear. I adore Will Ferrell, I've got a lot of time for Ryan Reynolds, and I fucking love musicals. So finding out that these two lads have collaborated on a Christmas musical made me more excited than buying an extra large doner kebab from Ali's Istanbul Grill. Therefore, it came as quite a surprise to discover that after having watched the first 20 minutes of the Apple TV exclusive film Spirited, I hated everything about it. But fear not, lads and ladies, as a dedicated film connoisseur, I wasn't going to leave it there. Oh no. I felt it was my duty to analyse why a film that on paper had all the right ingredients resulted in a giant load of donkey bollocks. And then, of course, share those thoughts with you lovely lot in video format, right after my short but snazzy theme tune.
Big days, big reviews. Big days, big reviews.
Right, before I unload on this pile of warm garbage, I just thought I'd take a quick moment to ask you to be a diamond and subscribe to my channel. We're very new, and if by some miracle we make it big, you'll be able to boast to your friends that you were one of the original subscribers. Win-win for us all.
On a bitter, cold Christmas Eve, one dark soul is selected for redemption by the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and yet to come. A tradition that continues to this very night.
So, Spirited is the latest movie from Apple TV, and it's produced by Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds companies. Obviously, it stars the pair of them, and my god is it terrible. Now, to be fair, the premise of the movie is actually quite a good one. The film is basically about the day-to-day workings of the ghosts from Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Each year, they select the worst person they can find and try to redeem them from scumbags to decent folk. You have the Ghost of Christmas Past, Christmas Present, played by Ferrell, and Christmas Future, all supported by the most bloated admin team since Twitter HQ. Well, before Elon at least. The introduction sees the team work their magic on this year's target and successfully convert her into a nice person. So far so good, and not a bad little start to the film. And so the squad head back to HQ for the first song and dance number, and this is where all the problems begin. Now believe it or not, Big Dave's a bit of a musical nut. Want to hear me sing Book of Mormon from start to finish? Easy. Jesus Christ Superstar, seen it 9 times live. Les Mis, Sweeney Todd, most of Andrew Lloyd Webber's musicals, you name it, I've seen it. Hell, I even love opera, the Magic Flute being a particular favourite of mine. Now, the point I'm about to make is bloody obvious, but it needs to be said. For a musical to work, it's got to have good music, and Spirited's music is terrible. Given it's a Christmas comedic musical, you'd expect some catchy, Christmas sounding tunes, but instead you get an endless wave of bland Broadway songs. You know the songs I mean. Pretty much every show has that one song that's completely forgettable, sometimes called a filler song. So imagine taking all those songs, putting them together, and you've got the score of Spirited. The singing's not much better. At some points, I thought the vocal lines were improvised due to the lack of theme or structure. It sounded like the director said, bollocks to melody, just sing the line however you like and we'll smash the music together to fit it. Utterly depressing stuff. Now I know I'm sounding a bit harsh here, and to be fair, a couple of the later numbers aren't total arse, but my god, you'd think a musical with this budget would do a much better job in the music department. There's got to be one catchy melody or some musical phrase that sticks in your head, but no, not a dicky bird here, just instantly forgettable averageness. First rant over, but trust me, there's a lot more of them to come. So anyways, the plot continues in a fairly simple manner. The gang goes to check out the target for next year when Ferrell's character, Present, spots Ryan Reynolds' character, Clint, and decides he'd make a much better person to redeem. Clint's presenting at a Christmas tree sellers event and giving the old razzmatazz, so I wasn't sure why he was worse than the original fella they were gonna redeem, but regardless, Present gets his way and they switch their attention to Clint. And the next 90 minutes of the film is basically the ghost of Christmas Present trying to convince Clint that he's redeemable, whilst Clint picks away at Christmas Present's past and personality. Now there's a half-hearted love interest for the ghost of Christmas Present, because of course there is, but otherwise it's just scene after scene of these two, and my god does it drag. The film has a stupendously bloated runtime of 127 minutes, but doesn't have enough material for 90. Given how much this film supposedly cost, you'd think they could produce, direct, and edit it properly, but no. It seems like at the production meeting, when deciding on how concise to keep the film, they instead said, bollocks to it, let's just include every scene and line of dialogue we can think of, baby. And my god do you feel it. I was beyond bored after an hour, and Mrs. Big Dave was asleep. I had to stick with the film because I wanted to make this video obviously, but let me tell you, if I'd had my choice, I'd have rather watched Elf for the 100th time.
He's an angry elf.
Or any of the Christmas Carol movies, even the Muppet one. And this leads to the next problem, which is particularly surprising given the cast and production companies involved. The film's not funny. I'm from a generation that grew up on Will Ferrell films. Me and my mates cried laughing when we saw Old School in the cinema.
Blue, you're my boy!
From then on, I watched and loved pretty much all of his films. And how amazing is Deadpool, or Ryan Reynolds in general? Yes, he basically plays himself in every film, but that's fine with me because I think he's a funny bloke. But not in Spirited. Oh no, for some bonkers reason, Will Ferrell is playing the straight man, which makes zero sense. The guy's a comic genius, and the more silly you let him get and the more you let him improvise his lines, the better they usually are. But no, let's have him play a pretty mopey ghost. I'm sure that'll be movie gold. And as for Reynolds, he lacks all his usual comedic charm in this film. Now I suspect it's due to Spirited being a PG-12 Christmas film, so they decided to drop his usual edgy shtick, but it's probably this edginess that makes him funny. Toning it down just doesn't work. Still, the pair allegedly earned $20 million each for this rubbish, so fair play to the lads. Hopefully Reynolds invests that in his football team Wrexham FC rather than another Apple TV movie. So let's look at the other problems I found. Despite the film literally telling you in the first 10 minutes that it's a musical, yes, I do mean literally tell you, there's about 35 minutes when they seem to forget this fact themselves and don't have any music at all. It was bizarre. When the next number does eventually come in, you can't help but notice the massive gap between songs. Mental stuff. Then there's the scene set in Dickensian London. As a Brit myself, I couldn't help but groan at the tired old cliche jokes about British people. Oh, and whilst Ferrell's British accent was decent, Reynolds was more grinding than Dick Van Bloody Dykes. But this is a tiny gripe. My next one's a biggie. We see Christmas Present having major doubts about whether he has truly been redeemed himself, since he was so terrible when he was alive on Earth. Now let me explain. Christmas Present has worked tirelessly since his own death to help redeem people. He's worked 50 years past his retirement date. That's the date when he can finally return to Earth as a new person and enjoy a happy life. The guy's gone above and beyond the cause, and yet he's still doubting his own redemption. If this is the case, then how can he have ever believed in the cause in the first place? I mean, if he thinks he can't be redeemed after all that effort, how can he truly believe that he could redeem anyone else? It undermined the whole point of the bloody film for me. I suppose on the bright side, at least the song Will Ferrell sings at this point in the film is slightly less shit than the rest of them. Other negatives were the overuse of green screen. How they managed to make one of the most expensive Christmas films look so cheap is beyond me. Amazon rightly got pelters for the Rings of Power being a waste of money, well Apple TV deserves the same treatment here. I mentioned the bloated runtime and the lack of comedy, well just to emphasise how bored I was watching this film, I usually only write a couple of notes when watching something I'm going to make a video about, but for Spirited I'd practically written the whole script, ran it past Mrs. Big Dave and downloaded half the video clips you're watching now. That's not a good sign folks, it's really not. Right, even I'm getting fed up with my moaning, so I'll try and list a few positives. There's a couple of poignant scenes towards the end of the film where Ferrell and Reynolds deliver some good acting between them. Whilst the chemistry between the pair isn't great, I think that's more down to the appalling script than anything else. I think in a different film with actual jokes in it, these two would probably work well together. They also have a tiny message about not cancelling people for the things they said or did in the past, which given the dodgy shit I got up to as a youngster, I 100% agree with. Damn you internet, you never forget. And that's about it for the positives. It really was that bad for me. To sum up, I really don't enjoy dumping on films, especially ones I really want to love, but Spirited gave me no choice. Ferrell and Reynolds have been part of so many great films that it baffles me how they can produce this load of old rubbish. Just go and watch the adverts they made for this film on YouTube. They're 10 times funnier than anything in the film itself. They clearly can be funny together when they want to. The only thing more baffling is how it's done so well on Rotten Tomatoes. Maybe it's Ryan Reynolds fangirls like Mrs. Big Dave pumping those numbers up. Or maybe it's just me and I'm wrong about the film. Nah, bollocks to that, I'm an expert. It's definitely crap. I mean, if there's a single person out there next Christmas that's given the choice between watching Spirited or Elf and chooses Spirited, then there's really no hope for humanity. I would be more angry about wasting my time on this film, but thankfully I used the 7-day free trial of Apple TV to watch it. Gotta save those pennies when you can these days, baby. And as for Apple TV, I don't know if you lot, as the studio funded this film, had a hand in it being so bad, but if you did, naughty Apple TV, don't do that again. Right, that's enough of me moaning. I'm going to go watch Encanto now with Little Big Dave for the 50th time, just to remind myself how amazing musicals can be when they, you know, have great music in them.
Oh, we don't talk about Bruno, no, no, no. We don't talk about Bruno. It was my wedding day.
Bloody hell, you've made it to the end of the show. Well done you. Now, if you could be a diamond and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, that will make sure we can keep in touch in future. Please also drop a like on the video and maybe even comment below. A bit of banter is always welcome. I'd like to wish you all the best. Until next time.